Okay, so before we get into the first slideshow, we talked about how to grow microbes, and now we're going to talk about how to kill them. Okay? So before we get into how to kill them, we have to identify some words. I know he's mentioned making a chart. Basically, we're identifying what needs to be on the columns of that chart. Okay? So there is cidal or static. What does cidal mean?
Kills.
Yeah, kills. Immediately. The second, well, not the second, but it's going to kill it. All right? Mm-hmm. Where static is what?
Stopping growth.
Yeah, static, say inhibiting growth. I just kind of think it's putting them on pause. Okay? It's not killing them, it's just they can't grow as fast and not as happy, something's messed up. Like, I don't know, if you want to win at a race, you break the other person's leg, they can't go as fast. It's kind of a mean example, but they can still go, they can still move, but they're just a little slower. Is that okay? And then usually the reason why we do something static, especially in antibiotics, is because we kind of put them on pause, so what will end up killing them?
Our immune system.
The immune system. Good. Okay, so that's cidal and static. So for every single thing, you need to say if it's cidal or static. Okay? Then we also use broad versus narrow. What does that mean? Okay. So we're going to talk about the physical methods, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about chemical methods. And then we're going to talk about antibiotics. Now, I'm not trying to confuse you, I'm just trying to explain. Last semester, we only used the word broad versus narrow for antibiotics. Antibiotics kill, what do they kill?
Bacteria.
Bacteria. And what are the two different kinds of bacteria?
Gram-positive, gram-negative.
Gram-positive, negative. So if we're talking about an antibiotic being broad, it kills gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. And last semester, these words only applied to antibiotics. But now they apply to every single one of these. So, okay, sorry, this is like confusing. But if we're talking about physical or chemical, if I say broad, that means bacteria and viruses. For the chemical, if I say broad, that means bacteria and viruses. For both of these, if I say narrow, it's just bacteria or just viruses. But then when I use those words for antibiotics, since antibiotics only affect bacteria in the first place, then we say broad means gram-positive and negative. Whereas narrow means just gram-positive or just gram-negative. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the category you're talking about what the definition is. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to write for antibiotics, it's positive and negative. For physical and chemical, it's bacteria and viruses. And then narrow for antibiotics is positive or negative. And for physical and chemical is bacteria or viruses. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind, especially when you go back to class on Wednesday and you learn about antibiotics. You know that when he says broad, he's not, sorry, I wrote really slow and sloppily, but if he says broad, he's not saying that that antibiotic affects viruses as well. He's saying just because bacteria can be gram-positive or negative, and antibiotics do not work against a viral infection at all. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. So it's like just the opposite. The opposite, like and or.
Yeah, so these ones are
and
and then or.
Okay.
Just one or the other. And as we get to more examples, it'll make more sense. Okay, and there are two more sections we need to know. Now another thing is these sections don't apply to every single one of these categories. So like this next one is antiseptic.
Or disinfectant.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Antiseptic is for use on living tissues.
Yeah, so
And
living
disinfectant
tissue.
is just inanimate.
And I was gonna look up how to spell that word, but I didn't. You don't know
I think
how.
it's in I don't know.
I'm just gonna write table, okay? So I can use on tables or windows or something like that. So when we're talking about physical methods, these words don't apply. Okay, when we're talking about chemical methods, we do say if they're an antiseptic or a disinfectant. And then when we're talking about antibiotics, we swallow them, so technically they're all antiseptics. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So some of the columns in your chart are going to be NA, non-applicable. And I'll tell you which ones they are. Now what if I said the word sterilization? What does that mean?
Like, you
Killing
can
it.
use heat or.
Yeah, heat does sterilize. It sometimes depends on the temperature and the amount of time. But just know sterilizing kills 100% everything.
Okay.
Okay? And we usually don't accomplish that in any of these that we're really going to talk about. But no, sterilization's killing everything. Antiseptics and disinfectants, they don't kill everything. Okay? So like hand sanitizer, is that an antiseptic or a disinfectant?
Antiseptic.
Antiseptic. Now, what does it say on the front of hand sanitizer?
99.9.
Kills 99.9% of
Germs.
germs, which is my favorite word, because who can define what a germ is,
Yeah.
right? So, notice they didn't say 100, they said 99.9, because it's an antiseptic. It doesn't kill everything. Same with like Lysol or anything like that. Those disinfectants, they say 99.9% of germs.
Did you write tables like?
Did I spell it wrong?
No, what does tables mean?
Oh, inanimate objects. I just don't
Okay.
know how to spell inanimate, so I put tables. But I thought you meant I spelled that wrong too, which I wouldn't.
No,
be
I
surprised if
just
did.
wasn't sure if you meant like making a table.
Is that
Never
it?
mind.
Oh, I don't think it's
Did I
centered.
bump it?
I think
Yeah.
I moved it.
This, the other way. There we go. Okay. Okay, there's one more section. And I can't stress how important this section is, this category. Because a lot of people, I'll tell you what not to do on this test. A lot of people, they make their table and they try to memorize alcohol, cidal, membranes, blah, 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 and just memorize everything. And they get extremely overwhelmed and they get everything confused. I'm telling you right now, if you memorize, what's the last one I'm missing? We have cytostatic, broad, narrow, antiseptic, disinfectant,
Target.
the target. If you know the target, you can figure out everything else. I promise. And that's how I'm going to be teaching you. I'm always going to tell you think of the target first, and then I'm going to teach you based on what the target is, you will be able to think about all the others and get them right. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then you only have to memorize one thing versus 4. So it's like, it's so much easier. And it makes sense, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some possible targets? I'm not going to write them all out because there are a
He
lot.
said the 3 that he wants us to focus on are membranes, nucleic acids, and proteins.
Yeah. And you could say like, oh, membrane synthesis, so you can get, or proteins or protein synthesis. So we're just going to,
Yeah.
we'll get more detailed as we go. But yeah, we can target proteins, membranes, nucleic acid. Okay, so for your table, you need to say, well, first, if you're making a table, put this first, the target, okay? Then cytostatic, broad, narrow, antiseptic, or disinfectant. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do these all make sense? Because now we're going to go through the actual methods, and if these words don't make sense, the other stuff's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
So it's okay?
Can we just expound a little bit on the do we need to know that sterilization is for all microorganisms? Disinfection is it doesn't kill bacterial endospores, like stuff like that.
The reason why sterilization we say kills everything is because it does kill endospores. Endospores are very difficult to kill. So disinfection, it may kill 99.9%, but maybe that 0.1% are the endospores.
So it doesn't kill endospores.
I can't say all the time,
Okay.
but those are probably going to be the thing that it doesn't kill because they're the hardest to kill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If anything, he just wants you to understand that like endospores and prions and those things are really hard to kill. But if you just know that they don't kill everything, I think you'll be fine.
And then sterilization does, and antiseptics don't either.
Yeah.
So we just need to know that those two don't kill.
These ones
everything.
don't. Sterilization does.
Okay.
What about pasteurization? You know what that is?
Yeah.
It's like,
Like milk and stuff. You don't really kill very many because if you do it too much, then you break apart all the things inside the milk or the
Yeah, the
liquid,
proteins.
the proteins.
So milk is made completely out of proteins. But let's say I bought a gallon of milk, I put it in my refrigerator, I didn't ever open it, and I left it there. Would it ever go bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I thought we pasteurized it, right? And I never opened it, so what is growing in there?
Bacteria.
Pasteurizing doesn't kill everything, right? We get almost to boiling so that it kills most of them, but it doesn't kill everything. So I could leave it there and it will still grow. Does that make sense? But we put it in the refrigerator as a static effect, right?
Yeah.
Because think all the ones that infect you are mesophiles, and in the refrigerator it's too cold for them. But it's not cidal, it's static.
okay.